more balanced. Oh, I read.
Tom, what's your point, dude?
I went into
what are you doing
oh,
here?
you're trying so hard, you little bitch. It's like, it's like,
Tom, you're the smartest guy in the room. You're rambling on and on and on about it's a tight race.
Maybe it sounds like
Patrick Bet-David and the rest of the PBD podcast got a bit heated whenever talking about the next upcoming presidential election. Does Kamala Harris actually have a chance to beat Donald Trump? Some people, a lot of people actually, in the conservative space are starting to panic as the polls are starting to point towards Kamala being the front runner and Donald Trump losing some support from a poorly ran campaign, and then people like Joe Rogan endorsing RFK. In my opinion, it was a straight up endorsement, even though he said otherwise. Patrick Bet-David in this video kind of gets to the bottom of the whole thing. Does Kamala Harris actually have the lead over Donald Trump? And then, like I said, things get a bit heated between the cast. They start name calling, and you'll see. Let's get into this video here of Patrick Bet-David addressing the Kamala Harris versus Donald Trump situation. And like I said, a bit of a heated argument going on the PBD podcast here.
Election 2024, Trump 49%, Kamala 44%, RFK 3%. This is Rasmussen report. As of August 8th is what the numbers are. So let me see if anything's changed from here. And there's a new one that came out with Pew as well. So here we go. Former President Donald Trump has maintained his lead over Vice President Kamala Harris and his support for RFK. The latest Rasmussen poll has a two-way matchup. 49% of voters vote for Trump, 44% Harris, 4% to RFK. These findings are nearly unchanged from a week ago, which was second survey since President Joe Biden. Rob, what are those polls today? What are the numbers saying? Tom, what are you seeing on the market with the polls?
So there's a couple things that are going on today. And the first thing is that the Kamala bounce is subsiding, and it's really only 1 to 2 points nationally. But the media is pushing this AstroTurf campaign very hard, and there's a number of pollsters that are lining up as AstroTurf salesmen. Take a look here. This is the number of polls per week that were released. So why is it that on August 18th, August 11th, why are the number of polls going down? The number of polls released. It's because of this. When the polling data fits the media narrative, the polls get released. When the polling data doesn't fit the media narrative, the pollsters are holding back. And right now, the pollsters are holding back because the Kamala bounce is subsiding and it's settling in at 1 to 2 point on the national level. But remember,
I have a question for everybody watching this real quick. Do you guys care? Like, do you take any note of what polls say anymore? I'm pretty young. I'm 25 years old. I haven't been into this whole political space for too long. But last election, a lot of polls, if not most polls, were pointing in the direction of Donald Trump running away with the election. And that's what everybody was saying, even on election night, even when the vote started coming in. I remember I was watching Steven Crowder, and he was basically saying, "Oh, this is a lock for Trump. Trump's going to win." Then boom, overnight everything switched. And whether or not you think that was foul play, it's kind of off topic for this particular question. Do you think polls mean anything at all? Because I'm kind of starting to think polls don't really mean much at all. I'm not starting to think. I've been thinking that since the last election, whenever they were all pointing in the direction of Donald Trump winning. And I always say in these videos when we're talking about this next election that, yes, this whole thing is AstroTurfed. It's very obvious that this whole Kamala support thing is AstroTurfed. It's all paid and bought for by the Kamala Harris campaign team. All this, X or Twitter support, these tweets going viral. It's very obvious these are paid for, to push Kamala Harris and make her seem like the cool candidate. Even though it's AstroTurfed, I say this all the time, 90% of the population are sheep. They see support and they're not thinking, oh, is this AstroTurfed? Is this fake? Are these bots? Are these real people? Why are they supporting Kamala Harris? Does she have good policies? Is she a likable person? They don't think any of that stuff. They're just thinking, oh, look, the tide is shifting. Kamala Harris is getting all the support from these large Twitter accounts, from these tweets going viral. Maybe I should just fall in line. And that's 90% of the population. They are sheeps. I'm not saying 90% of the population are falling in line with Kamala Harris, but either they've made their mind up that they're going with Donald Trump, or they're going to go ahead and sway towards Kamala Harris because of how much they're trying to AstroTurf this campaign, how much they're trying to push Kamala Harris in front of us. So yes, it might be fake support, but that fake support is going to turn into real support because of how much of the population are sheeps. So it's not like because it's faked, we just shouldn't be worried about it. I think it is still something we need to worry about. Let's see what Patrick Bet-David has to say about it, though.
national level is like time of possession in a football game. That's not where the scoreboard is. The scoreboard is the Electoral College because the states are the touchdowns and field goals. That's how this is going to be settled. And right now, there are three truths. Number one, Kamala's had a bounce. It's legitimate and there's enthusiasm over there, but it's not as bad as it looks. Truth number two, the pollsters are becoming media outlets. And truth number three, the Trump campaign has been kind of flat-footed on a more optimal response. All those three things are true.
So what's your point?
What we see here is that right now, on a national basis, this has tightened up, but it's not Kamala 5. It's not Kamala 6. It's not Kamala 8. Those polls are BS. And by the way, Quinnipiac is completely out of their mind. They regurgitated and
If you enjoy content like this, make sure you leave a like and subscribe to the channel. It really does help me out a ton. Let's get back to the video.
released a poll. Remember, those are the guys that said the day before they ran the last two polls in the last election, and they had Georgia 8, Georgia 10 for Biden, and it was razor thin, and it took maybe some midnight madness to actually go the other way. But they were Georgia 8, Georgia 10. It says Pew hasn't even been doing presidential polling like this, and suddenly they're running to the microphone. It is an AstroTurf campaign by the pollsters, but the truth is this is narrowed up, and a group that is moving. There is a group moving, and it's those independent women that you can't, to Kellyanne Conway's point, if you're going to criticize and be personal with Kamala Harris, you're going to lose these women. But right now, the polling, I'm waiting for stuff to come back up that is more balanced. Oh, I read.
Tom, what's your point, dude?
I went into
what are you doing
oh,
here?
you're trying so hard, you little bitch. You know, it's like, it's like, Tom,
you're the smartest guy in the room. You're rambling on and on and on about that it's a tight race.
Maybe it sounds like rambling.
Nobody likes Adam, dude. He just like, he just doesn't fit. You know, I feel bad for him. I don't dislike him personally. I just don't like watching him on these shows. And you can tell that the other members of the PBD podcast are also just fed up with him. Like Tom I don't watch them every single time, but you guys know I watch a decent amount of Patrick Bet-David stuff. Tom doesn't say stuff like that very often, and for him to just like lash out at him and say, "You're trying so hard, you bitch," or whatever he said. And then you could see Vinny is obviously on his side, on Tom's side against Adam, and Patrick Bet-David is also laughing at it. So people are just they're tired of him. They're tired of Adam, man.
Tom, no shit. Give us what's your point?
Open the textbooks, baby. So you have right now two things that are very, 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 very true.
Has a nerd ever called you like a little bitch in your life? Anybody else? It's just so.
But if I imagine it's something you're used to.
My God.
So. Okay. Basically, it's not as bad as it looks, but the Trump campaign needs to pick it up a little bit, and the pollsters are acting like media outlets, and there's a lot of BS that's happening out in these polls.
Great, Tom, you killed it, man. Great job. You just broke down the entire race and saying, hey, it's a close race. Great job. Sick one.
Did you want to say something?
No, it just,
the analysis was that spot on for you.
Hey guys, breaking news. It's a tight race.
All right.
And here's some stats to show it. Great.
Here's what I can tell you. What I do know for a fact is I'm convinced the future looks bright, and we want 1 million people to wear the Your Future Looks Bright. The USA hats, last time.
I'm not. We're good. I don't think the future looks bright at all. Maybe I am just too black-pilled, but I don't think the future looks bright. I don't think it looks bright at all. As we can tell by the polling numbers, I know that I said they don't mean anything, but like I said, AstroTurf campaigns lead to actual real support. If Kamala Harris wins this next election, the future does not look bright at all. At all. It looks very, very dark. And even if Donald Trump wins this next election, what happens after that? We're seeing this like very clear pattern of Democrat win, Republican win, Democrat win, Republican win. And I think it's going to keep going like that because every time somebody wins, it's very easy to just tear apart their entire life, their entire history, cancel them, make them look like the worst person of all time, literally Hitler, and then the other side's going to win. And then we get Joe Biden in office, and he's Sleepy Joe. He's literally crapping himself on stage. He's falling asleep everywhere, can barely function. Then Donald Trump wins. And then Donald Trump gets back in office. Everybody remembers how horrible he is, how he's literally Hitler, and how he tweets really mean things. And then the Democrat side's going to win again. And then it's like, it's after Trump, it's like, what else do we really have? Like DeSantis? Obviously, we have Vivek Ramaswamy, but I don't know. I don't think the future looks very bright at all, in my opinion. Anyway, let me know in the comments what you thought about what Patrick Bet David and Tom and Adam had to say about these polling numbers. I do think they're fake. Like I said, can lead to real support though, and it is leading to real support and real momentum for Kamala Harris's campaign. Who do you think is going to win? Trump? Kamala? Who do you think is going to win? What do you think about Patrick Bet David and the PBD podcast and their little argument over this situation?